welcome to the Horror Hangout podcast, where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luca Condor with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Mr.
Ben Errington.
and Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, everybody.
Hey. How we doing? Had a good week?
Yeah, cheeky little short week. It's just been bank holiday over here, hasn't it? So riding high.
Bank holiday. None of the banks are open.
Sun's out, bums out. I mean, guns.
Sums out, bums out, tums out. That's about it.
It rhymes with sun. You get it out.
Sun's out, thumbs out.
I did get sunburned terribly, though. I don't even think I was out for that long. I was out for about 2 hours, and I still feel crispy now. It still hurts to move. So, pathetic.
Pathetic.
Pathetic skin. Your skin is pathetic. What? Just a bit of sun, or I'm all in pain. Grow up.
With this, Mediterranean complexion that those of you watching the video will be obviously that I have. Obviously, I can stay out as long as I like. By which I mean, I'm as white as a sheet and I'm practically a vampire in the sun. I have to run between patches of shade.
Yeah. Same.
You have like a protective, I don't know what that is, on your head though. We don't have that protective layer.
Yeah.
What is that?
The thing is, guys, you say that, but it's a real peril because I have dark hair as well.
Yeah.
Like your hair turns into like a pair of straightening irons. That heat was retained. I could burn people by just touching them. Yeah.
Isn't that the power that the guy in Mortal Kombat had? The new guy.
Fire hair.
He took in the energy.
I am a more compelling character than that one I can't remember from Mortal Kombat.
Hot hair.
Hot hair man.
Ben, I will up my rating of Mortal Kombat by one rating if you can tell me his name.
I don't even know who you're on
3
about.
seconds.
Go on, Ben.
Hot face.
Paul Hastings.
Sorry, we can't remember the new character in Mortal Kombat's name, meaning officially it was a bad idea. It's only been a fortnight.
Oh, from the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Cole Young.
Too slow.
Cole Young. I was thinking of a game for some reason. I thought you were talking about a game.
Is his name Cole Young?
It's Cole, yeah.
Cole Young. And his suit is made out of a wicker basket.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. He's got a lovely basket cardigan.
Got a beetle
Either
armor.
that or like, you remember like Fruit Winders?
Yeah, a little bit like that. A little bit like
Fruit
a Greg's
winder armor.
sausage roll as well, or a steak bake. You know, a steak bake.
Yeah.
Stuff. It's like the pastry is
A
like
lattice of
lattice.
pastry.
If you notice,
Yeah.
he leaves a lot of flakes wherever he's been. There's a lot of pastry flakes.
He's ever so flaky, never turning up on time. Sometimes just bailing on plans. He's
Like the
so
tournament.
flaky.
And
Like
then
the
he goes back
tournament,
to it.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
you want to go to a tournament? No, I'm going home.
Going to my shed.
You idiot.
Yeah.
Beat Goro in a trailer park. That's embarrassing.
Hang on, I've got a drink.
Just in the car park of a farm shop. Just beat him up.
What was he drinking now? It's a fresh fizzy pop. Is that Iron Brew? Oh, it's Fanta.
No, Fanta Fruit Twist. I think this is the
yeah.
best Fanta.
There's a grape Fanta, which is pretty all right, if I remember. It's very sweet. Like hideously sweet.
Yeah, this one tastes like
Which suits me down to a T.
toxic ooze. But
Toxic ooze. Are you gonna mutate?
chemically.
Are you gonna get any powers, do you think?
Fingers crossed.
Find
I
out
mean,
by
that's
the time we
the
get to
power.
end.
Mutation. On my fingers.
All my fingers are
Irreversibly
crossed.
crossed.
God damn it. But of every other thing, I get really good luck with everything else. It seems everything else goes well for me.
Yeah.
I can't pick things up.
I'm allowed
I
to say what I want and not mean it because my
Yeah.
fingers are crossed.
Fingers are crossed.
Your fingers are crushed. Right. What we
We've got any
got?
horror news.
What we got? Got a little bit of horror news. So this is the first episode of June, which is Pride Month. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a shout out to some previous episodes that we've done with LGBTQ plus creators and characters. And also I thought I'd put it out there, if you're listening to the show and you want us to cover any films that are particularly LGBTQ plus orientated, then let us know. And we'll do that because I think we probably should do a little bit more, because just from looking at a list which had all of them on there, we've covered a few. So one of them we've done Let the Right One In, episode 21, episode 100, Hellraiser, episode 151, Ginger Snaps, and episode 159, Jennifer's Body. So that's just like a little cross section of some that we've done. But
I
yeah,
don't believe you've missed the most important and significant one.
Go on.
Sleepaway Camp, obviously.
I was going to say Sleepaway Camp. On this list, it only says Sleepaway Camp 2, which I guess doesn't make sense. Maybe because the reveal. I don't know.
All
Yeah, but
Sleepaway Camp movies. What a time.
Yeah, but Sleepaway Camp, which was episode something 107. There we go. So yeah, we've done a fair few, but be good to do more.
I'd like to do more. Seeing all the people, there's been a few threads where people have been asking and then calling out their favourites, and I've sort of been scouring through them, going, "Oh, add that to the watch list," or "We haven't covered that one yet." So the spreadsheet's going to be beefed up from all these great threads that people are posting.
The spreadsheet is always beefed up. The spreadsheet is always growing. We're
doing this forever. It's official.
We are pretty much
Do
doing
you
this forever,
still keep a spreadsheet of all the scores, Andy?
I've got about 6 months to catch up on, but I do it every so often, and then my podcast feed is ruined because then I scroll back and then I notice I've got like 2 minutes, like it says, 2 minutes left on about 50 episodes. But I'll top it back up at some point.
Yeah, it'd be good. It's always good to see the stats because it's one of those things we just keep chipping away at week after week doing a horror podcast, forgetting those stats that we're racking up. I think we worked out exactly how many hours we've podcast for before, maybe around about 100 episodes. And it was a lot. So it'd be good to see where we're at now because we're fast approaching episode 200, which is kind of crazy.
What a time.
What a time to be alive.
We'll all get one day to get the aspiration of anyone that starts a podcast in that we all one day get to appear on like I Love 2000 and something as a talking head. And then just little cutaway, it'll be Danny Baker saying, "Oh, I don't believe about that film." And he goes, "Oh, of course, the entire cast were cancelled for reasons we can't go into on television."
I was thinking that recently. There was a TV show on Channel 5, and it was like people talking about their favorite cakes, and I just kept thinking, how have they been asked their opinion on that cake? How do I get onto that show to talk about French fancies and stuff like that? Because I want to be on that show. Maybe this is my in.
It's part of you have to be part of the Kipling family to get on that program, sadly.
Okay, I got you.
French fancies. They're good. They are good.
They are good. Maybe we can ask Mr. Kipling for a sponsorship deal. You know, we've got 200
Now you
episodes.
mentioned it on the podcast, then you're officially in the hat for the next talking headpiece. You've given an opinion on French fancies. I give them an A, especially the pink ones. Not a fan of the chocolate ones. Always left for them at the end. They're the least compelling.
They're odd.
You only need one. You only need one. They're very, very sickly, I think. Very rich, even. Sorry, not sickly, Kipling.
Very rich, yeah. But the chocolatey ones they're not very chocolatey considering they're chocolate flavored.
That's what I want. If I'm going to have a chocolate cake, I want it to taste like chocolate. I don't want it to not be as nice as the pink one, but not taste of chocolate. Come on.
It feels like we're slating the cakes. If we want them to come and give us a sponsorship deal, we got to stop slating the cakes. We've got to say best cakes in town.
Mr.
Kipling, there are.
I'm a big fan, especially of when you do the seasonal ones, like your frosted fancies at Easter. Chef's kiss, exceedingly good.
Exceedingly. Oh, he's done the quote as well. They'll be coming for you, Andy. They'll be just getting you exclusively on this deal.
No, I'll tell them we're a package deal. I'll say, look, this isn't Simon Cowell, mate. You can't break the group up. We're either all promoting your cakes or none of us.
Hashtag ad.
I'll buy Jaffa cakes or nothing if you don't give me what I need.
They might split us up though, like when they made One Direction go solo.
Who made them go solo? Did they just break up?
Yeah, they just broke up. I don't know the history. I've just put it out there, expecting you guys to nod along, but you didn't. Don't ask me questions.
Not well read enough on your One Direction lore.
No.
Oh well. No. Horror podcast.
I know that some of. Oh, bloody horror podcast. What's that? Horror news. Yeah. So we've had a couple of trailers this week. We had a trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's Old, his new sort of like odd thriller. I'm going to call it an odd thriller because there's crazy stuff going down. Some horror alumni in that movie, though. So Alex Wolff is in it from Hereditary. And then what was the name of the actress who was in the last Night in Soho as well? Anyway, she's in this as well. So it looks like she's making that big transition into sort of like genre films from she was in Jojo Rabbit originally, wasn't she? So It looks cool. They said I guess the basic premise, without me reading that full synopsis, is there's a beach. And when you're on this beach, you start aging really fast.
If you're a
Aging
kid,
if you're a kid, but if you're an adult, then I guess just aging inside.
just
Like you're-
sound if you're there. You're an adult.
yeah, but I think some people. Yeah, so this would be interesting. It seems like, I mean, is there going to be a twist? The old Shyamalan mystery box loves a good twist.
Did
Yeah.
Glass have a twist? I didn't see Glass. And that was his latest one, right?
I don't really
Spoilers for
remember.
Glass. Are you ready, Luke? Do you want us just to say?
No.
Yeah. In that case, maybe there's a twist. You'll have
I
to
don't
see.
remember.
Interesting.
The twist is there is no twist. Yeah, I don't really remember.
I'm looking forward to Old. Looks fun.
Yeah, so obviously Big Bad Shyamalan. He's had some good ones over recent years, some not so good ones. I didn't see that Apple TV show Servant, which he was involved in.
Apparently, it's good.
Tour de force.
Okay.
Um,
So seemed to have a little bit of a lull where he was split an opinion, but now he seems to be clawing it back a little bit. M. Night Shyamalan. So let's see what comes up next.
I think he's done more good than bad. I'll certainly see anything that he puts out at least once.
Oh yeah,
Same.
100%.
Burn 2 hours on worse.
Exactly.
A lot worse.
Talking of that, there's a trailer as well for the sequel to the Escape Room movie. This one's called.
Oh yeah.
This is a classic horror movie or horror thriller movie. Name Escape Room Tournament of Champions.
It's weird, isn't it? They're going for that YA thing, which makes sense. I mean, the film is a YA horror, but that tournament of
YA
champions
man
makes me think of Maze
Geordie.
Runner.
They're going for that
So-
Geordie thing set in
Yeah.
Newcastle, set in Sunderland maybe. Yeah, sorry, Luke. Go on.
I've seen the trailer. I've been to cinema a few times this past weekend, and every time it's come on, and it just doesn't look like, I don't know, doesn't look like my kind of thing.
So we've all seen Escape Room, right?
I
haven't seen
didn't.
it.
I
you
didn't see it.
You
I
did?
was going to watch it. Was it on Netflix for a while,
it
or was
was,
that a
yeah.
film also called Escape Room that was legally
There was
distinct?
another one called Escape Room, which was odd, wasn't it? I didn't really know.
Yeah.
Which.
I put
Pretty
that
sure
one
I
on
watched-
once, and I was like, "This isn't the one I saw advertised. I shan't watch this." And then I never caught up with the actual one.
I think it's worth watching. I actually think it's all right. I mean, did we do a review on it, or did we?
I think you
No, I
spoke
think
about it in the
we
"What Are You
spoke
Watching"
about it,
bit,
yeah.
but
It's worth watching because it is kind of fun. Like I like the setups, but yeah, the last 10 minutes, just don't watch
There's
it.
a couple of interesting like rooms
Yeah,
where you think, Jesus, I'd never get out of there. Which I guess is the
yeah.
point. But now it looks like they're pitting the winners of these various escape room events, the winners against each other.
And also the rooms are getting way more elaborate. So like they think they're back home in New York City, and then find out that it's just one big projection.
it's just a room in Newcastle. It's just one of
It's
Just a room
It's
in,
still in
in
Newcastle.
canny Newcastle.
They hear someone say something. They hear someone opening a bottle of Newcastle Brown, and they're like, "Oh no, we're
That's
still
it.
here."
Indistinguishable, that noise. Eating
Poor
a bit
Jeff,
of
like
stutty
the-
cake.
like
Yeah.
Jeff when he's down the grove that time he got killed with all those fireworks going off in the basement. That is one of the escape room challenges that goes wrong. Yeah,
Jesus.
that's how Jeff had it in Biker Grove.
I was gonna,
That's how they got
I'm
him.
going to do PJ and Duncan with the paintball.
Paintballs. Yeah,
in
but
the
he was
eyes.
only blind for a bit. I didn't realize that. I thought he was
Ah.
blind forever in the program, but apparently
That-
it was a few episodes.
Legitimately terrified me, and I never ever wanted to play paintball, and I don't think I did
You've
until I
never
was like
been.
20 odd. And even then, it was in the back of my mind. Even when I had
Can I have a-
goggles on, I was like, "If
Can I
I
have a
flimsy
second pair of
eyelids,
goggles, please?
can I have a second pair of goggles? I better do a third pair of goggles just to be safe." Okay.
And
This
I'll
is-
close
never
my
know.
eyes underneath the goggles.
This image of it's either Ant or Deck with paintball paint in his
Yeah.
eyes.
I think it's Ant that gets blinded. I think you're going to
Yeah,
make
it's
it your background then, Luke.
I might actually.
Yeah, please make it your background. It'll be fantastic for people who watch on YouTube and like skip to halfway through the episode. Amazing.
Um,
Yeah, so I haven't actually seen this trailer, but I will watch it. Oh no! Oh, if you're listening, it's a picture of PJ. It is PJ, isn't it? He looks happy.
I think it's Ant.
He looks happy.
That's
to be-
Ant,
It's
yeah.
Ant. Yeah, it's Ant from Ant and Deck when he was in a teen soap called Biker Grove, set in Newcastle. and he's
he
been
was
blinded by
temporarily
yellow
blinded by being
paint.
shot in the eye in an illegal paintball game.
He looks happy. He looks like he's really enjoying being blind. Doesn't he? I can't believe it. I bloody love being blind.
When my hay fever gets really bad, that's how I wake up.
Ambrosia custard in your eyes. Very nice.
Oh,
What else we got? What else we got? Let's carry on. So we mentioned this a few times on the show when we're talking about horror news. So Evil Dead Rise, the new Evil Dead movie, is apparently going straight to HBO Max, and some plot details have been revealed. So it's produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and it's directed by Lee Cronin, who directed The Hole in the Ground, which I've not seen. And apparently it completely avoids the 2013 reboot, moves the action out of the woods. Just did a little burp while I was talking, and I'm sorry, how unprofessional. And apparently moves it into the city, and it's a tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons. It doesn't really say anything about like a high-rise building, which is what I thought was the crux. I thought the crux was going to be, imagine Evil Dead. Yeah. Imagine in a high-rise building. Oh, bloody gosh, lovely, guys.
It can still happen. I wish that they either had continued the remake story or had found a way to bridge it all together.
Maybe that's why are they staying away from it, because they might still do something with that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's possible, isn't it? I mean,
Either way, I hope they do, and I'll watch more Evil Dead stuff. That being said, I've not got around to any of Ash versus the Evil Dead, but best of intentions.
First season, the very first episode is directed by Sam Raimi, and it's excellent.
I think I may have only seen the first episode.
On Evil Dead humor. Yeah, it's good.
And apart from that, the last little bit I've got here is following on from last week's episode, Army of the Dead. Apparently, there is an Easter egg connecting the film to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake, another film that we previously covered on the podcast. So apparently, there's a scene where Tig Notaro's character is scrolling on her phone, and there's a little close-up screenshot, and it says, new information released about 2004 zombie outbreak in Milwaukee. Well, Dawn of the Dead remake was released in 2004 and set in Milwaukee. So there we go. Shared universe, possibly, maybe something cool. Yeah, zombies seem very different, don't they, to those?
Could be different parallel dimension, probably. Knowing Zach.
Parallel dimension,
different time loop.
Yeah.
Robots probably cleaned up that zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. So I thought I'd mention that because that was quite interesting, following on from last episode. But that's pretty much it for the news.
Cool. Has anybody seen anything good this week?
Anybody?
No.
Well, apart from films that we'll be talking about in the future, I almost went to see one of those, but as I told you, it was corrupted possibly by ghosts, but it wasn't. Probably just a bad film file that was sent to the cinema.
A bad film, full stop, file.
So instead, I watched a different film file that that a television service is able to provide me with, called Underwater, which I know you guys reviewed in the past, and I hadn't got around to seeing. So bearing in mind, I'd already bought popcorn at the cinema, took it home and ate it while I watched Underwater, which was fine.
I like your style. How did
you find Underwater?
Yeah, it was fine. I think it suffered a little bit because it was a hot sunny day and the sunlight was on the screen, so there are a few bits where you're like, I see this. Yeah, but other than that, it was fine. Like, I think Kristen Stewart's probably come a long way. Like, if there are still people, much like Robert Pattinson, that still say like, "Oh God, you from Twilight," you can't really make that debate anymore because she's been really good in so much good other stuff since then, and she does do some cool stuff. She has my big takeaway from her performance, and she's really good at like running down a corridor that's like throwing her about and doing some sliding. He runs down a chaotic corridor with the best of them. Yeah, it was all right.
It's I think it's written by the guy who wrote and directed Love and Monsters, and he also wrote, I don't know if he directed, but Spontaneous as well, which I know I keep bringing up, but it is really good. I
still haven't seen Spontaneous.
Nor have I.
Of the two, like Underwater was good, but definitely seeing his writing and direction style, I think it suits him a little bit better with The Love and Monsters, where he's allowed to bring a little bit of his humor into it.
Yeah.
Because Underwater has a few moments of like levity and just some, some nice bants in there.
Yeah.
But because that in that film they're literally at peril of imminent death from what, 1 minute in onwards, then it feels
While she's
like
brushing
there's
her-
not the
while
room for the
Chris is-
light.
Yeah.
While Kristen Stewart's brushing her teeth, she gets thrown into peril as well. And I feel like, I couldn't
Don't brush
go
teeth.
around if I haven't rinsed. I couldn't get on
Yeah,
with my
God,
day.
can you imagine? Yeah. If
Well,
you didn't manage to work around to the back molars or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
one
Walking
side of the
around
mouth feels dirty still.
God, imagine that. And then there's monsters.
And then there's monster. Yeah, so great creature design, great costume design as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's costumes.
I
yeah.
liked how the costume design had loads of like weight to it. Like it didn't
Yeah.
feel like you're in like late 90s like X-Men suits that you go underwater with, like just like spandex superhero suits. They were big, weighty, like armors almost.
Yeah.
They're great.
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I watched a bunch of stuff. Again, I watched stuff that we're going to be talking about, doing episodes on later on. But I also watched The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is on Netflix. It's an animated family film. It's made by the Sony Animation Studio, who you can tell some of the same people, or maybe the same animation house that did the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film. Lots of that
Yeah.
similar kind of craziest. I like that those kind of animated films are really getting creative now in the way they sort of present the film. It's really fun. It's a family find themselves on a road trip during like a robot apocalypse, and it's just lovely. Just a really nice, funny film.
I watched it a few weeks ago and it genuinely is like such a delight. It's one of those films that it's longer than you expect it is. When you see the running time, it's like, wow, there's like a thing happens and there's like, oh, there's another hour left. But it doesn't drag. It's really fast paced, and as well as being a very nice and sweet film, genuinely really, really funny. Like there's so many bits I'm literally laughing out loud at, which isn't a given. Like, you watch a comedy sometimes and it's a perfectly serviceable comedy, but you're just like, huh.
Yeah.
yeah.
And some of the visuals are really fantastic as well. There's like the whole robot apocalypse side of it is I don't know, it's very well put together.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
A good time.
I also watched, I have to talk about this film. I've not seen a film that's given me nightmares since I was like 11 or something. I watched a film called Come True. And it's made by have you ever heard of Pilot Priest? He's a musician who he does like dark John Carpenter-esque synthwave kind of music. It's really good. But he did this film called Come True. It's very synth-wavy and dreamy and Cronenbergian. It's about a girl who can't sleep or has nowhere to sleep. She signs up to a sleep trial, and she finds out that they've got these people have invented this technology where they can output on a screen in a very distorted way what the mind is seeing. So if you're looking at something, you'll see a distorted version of that come out for this output. But it means you can also see people's dreams. And then it gets super creepy. But the imagery when they're in the dreams, that's what I think kind of bored its way into my head. As I was falling asleep that night, I couldn't stop getting these images out of my head. But the imagery is really strange. The creepy part of the story is that everyone starts dreaming about this one thing. I'm not going to say what it is. But yeah, it's super weird, especially when they see two people sleeping next to each other are seeing the same thing, and there's a guy in the room with them he can't sort of see what they're seeing. It's really well done, really interesting, super creepy. I don't think it kind of wraps up amazingly, but for the experience itself, it's really worth it.
I've added it to my list as you mention it, Luke, so I will
Sounds good.
endeavor to watch that. That sounds great. And then we can see if it also gives us nightmare, if we
dream about the same thing,
then it's worse. Or we'll do the classic. Personally, I don't find any horror movies any scary at all. And actually, if you do that, you're a massive fucking baby.
We'll all dream about French fancies.
Yeah.
That's the cure.
The Cure is a French fancy. Yeah, lovely bit. Of
Yeah.
cream
Imagine,
on
Mr.
top.
Kipling, if you're listening, we could say, you know what I don't have nightmares about? How delicious and reasonably priced French fancies are. But I don't mean that until that sponsorship comes.
He's not in charge of the prices. The supermarket probably just assigns a price per. I mean, who
Fancy.
knows? I don't know the ins and outs.
He's got to keep his cost low for them to be
Per
able to sell
fancy.
them that light.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much per fancy? That's what I want to know.
I'll do the maths.
I'll see the maps. Yeah.
I think that's it for things I saw. Been playing Days Gone again. But yeah, what about you, Ben? See anything?
So I watched on Netflix the 4-part true crime series, The Sons of Sam: A Descent into Darkness. So it sort of focuses on the 44 caliber killer David Berkowitz. There's loads of like satanic cult stuff and like a man's obsession. But yeah, it's really good. I like the fact it's only like 4-hour-long episodes. I don't like it when it goes on too long. Cops going over the same old tiny little details about the case. Just tell me, give me the facts, give me the juiciness. Yes, it's really good, and it's quite fascinating as well. And I think if you're one of those people who looks into a case about a serial killer and you think, oh, I think there's something more to that, I'd like to know a little bit more about that, this is perfect. David Berkowitz, I think, was in Mindhunter as well, which I've not seen, but I think they covered a lot of the same stuff.
Mindhunter's great. It's a really good series. Like, the only thing that would tarnish me recommending it now is that it finishes 2 seasons with a feeling that there's a lot more to say and a lot more to develop. And then because COVID, and because it's expensive and because it's really hard to coordinate, they're just not doing anymore. So if you do take this recommendation to watch it, know that it will be frustrating that there isn't going to be a conclusion.
Yeah.
Well, this was good. It was really like well paced, and there's been a few Netflix true crime things. I'm quite picky with them. I won't kind of just watch anything. I think if you're a true crime fan, it can be easy to just get drawn in by pretty much anything, and then you find yourself 2 episodes into a 12-parter, and you're like, I'm kind of done. I don't really care anymore. So this was like nicely paced. I kind of felt like that about the hotel one. What was that?
Oh, that was a lot of
already forgotten about it.
That was a lot of speculating, wasn't it? And then there was
a hell of a lot of speculating.
The death metal guy who definitely didn't murder anyone because he was in another country at the time.
Let's do a whole episode on him. Give him a break. He loves satanic stuff. Look at him listening to Megadeth. Who's he think he is? He's definitely a murderer. It was a load of nonsense. But yeah, this one's a bit better. It's narrated by Paul Giamatti.
Giamatti.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. Yeah, his just tone of voice and everything just really, really does draw you in. And he's kind of like playing a character that the guy who, in his narration, he's playing the character of this guy who was sort of looking into all of this stuff. So yeah, I recommend that. That's good. And the only other thing I saw this week was a thriller movie. Don't know if you guys have seen this advertised, called Those Who Wish Me Dead, with Angelina Jolie in it. She's like someone called a fire jumper, which is someone who jumps straight into a fire just to try and put it out. It's not gonna. That's never gonna work.
Is that a
straight
job?
into a fire? Well, you like jump into the middle of a forest fire to like cut it off. I think you like parachute down. Anyway, this film was an absolute mess. It was the most generic thriller that I could have watched. The plot is completely muddled. There's like 3 different things going on at once, none of which really take precedent. It's almost like, what am I supposed to be caring about here? And absolutely everybody, except maybe the kid. There's a kid who's maybe about 12, maybe a bit older than that. Everybody else feels
directed by Taylor Sheridan.
Yes, I know. Kind of what drew me to it, because Wind River was good. I liked Wind River. So everybody feels miscast. Angelina Jolie is like there, but I'm like, if she wasn't here in this film would be fine. Nicholas Hoult is like a assassin, who I think might work for the CIA. I don't know. John Bernthal is like a sheriff, and he's got a pregnant wife. Basically, it feels like there's 3 different things going on at once, and neither thing is strong enough to carry the film on its own. So they all kind of like just meander.
It's a shame because, like, on paper, you would feel like they could fit later. I feel like John Bethel could play a sheriff, I feel like Nicholas Hoult could be a compelling assassin, but he said
Oh
it just
my
doesn't
God.
work on the actual execution.
Nicholas Hoult. I mean, it's obviously a decision on his performance and how the character's written, but honestly, it just seems like he's like, all right, let's do the scene then, I suppose. What am I? Assassin? How's he hold his gun like this? All right, roll in. It honestly feels like that, and I just didn't believe any of it. And as a fan of the game Firewatch, I've kind of thought,
That's what I was gonna say. I thought this was a kind of a Firewatchy looking.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought the same. I kind of imagined like a nice character-driven drama, perhaps, but it doesn't know what it is. It feels like. So I've read on Letterboxd, someone said this feels like a generic thriller that Sylvester Stallone would have churned out twice a year in the 90s. And I was like, yeah, pretty much.
They're more condemning. Oh well.
Yeah.
Can't win them all, I guess.
Yeah, that was that. And that was pretty much it. And again, I've seen a couple of things at the cinema that we're discussing today and next week.
In the future.
In the future.
The first return to the films on the cinema, Spiral.
Are you all right? Are you having a stroke? First return to the cinema big screen, big films. Spiral.
It's hot. It's so hot.
It's pretty damn hot. It is pretty damn hot.
It's right warm.
Yeah. So this one then. It's the 10th. Is it the 10th? The 10th Saw film or the 9th? Which one is it? Anyway. Spiral.
One of those.
Spiral, marketed as Spiral from the Book of Saul, is a 2021 American horror film that serves as the 9th installment in the Saw film series. There we go. The answer to my question was right there in front of me in black and white. The film stars Chris Rock, Max Minghella, Samuel Jackson, follows police efforts to stop a jigsaw copycat killer. Directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. It's his 4th of the series. I kind of thought, are we really getting people back who have already directed films in this series? I thought this was supposed to be a complete reboot. But guess what? Original creators of the series, James Wan, and who's that? Lee Wannell, serve as executive producers alongside Chris Rock. So the last one was Jigsaw in 2017, which I never saw. I know you did, Luke.
Still one I've not seen. I've heard Luke's review, and I think that's all I need.
Well, that was supposed to be like a reboot, remake boot, right? And then this is like this was another attempt at a reboot, remake. I don't know what you're supposed to call it.
I mean, attempt. It feels like. It? I mean, I thought it was going to be a complete reboot, but it feels like they can't let go of so many things. There are so many things that seem to make a Saw movie, and it seems like no matter how many attempts they carve out to reboot this franchise, they just hold on to the things, even the things that don't work, even the things that have never worked, not even once.
Yeah,
I've got a bit of a frosty relationship with Saw movies. I've only ever liked the first one. I enjoyed the first one. I've only ever seen 2 and 3, and then I gave up. And I've seen kill counts of the other movies and stuff. But obviously, the twist in the first movie was so damn good, and it just felt like they've always been trying to do one-upmanship on that with every new instance, and it just never seems to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, here's what the ratings and reviews are at the minute. It's not been out for too long, has it? So I don't think it's got like a huge amount of.
It's not settled. It's
not settled. Yeah. So IMDb has it at 5.8. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics are at 37%. The user score is at 75%. So a bit of a difference there. Letterboxd is at 2.6 out of 5. So right in the middle. There wasn't a huge amount of reviews to select from for Letterboxd, but I got a couple here. Dan Carroll wrote, "This movie is nonsensical, unsatisfying garbage, but it's nonsensical, unsatisfying garbage in a way that's new for the Saw franchise. 5 stars." So he enjoyed it, I think.
So it was unsatisfying, but because it's new, unsatisfying for this franchise.
5 stars. Yeah. And then F put, "I never liked or loved this genre. I remember watching maybe the first half hour of Saw and deciding that it's disgusting, that I will never ever watch anything like it again. 0.5 star. I mean, it's weird because he obviously did watch something like it again.
Yeah.
And also
15
the
years
first half
later,
an
you watch
hour.
9 films in.
The first half an hour, you only watched the first one. I'm thinking the only disgusting thing in the first half hour is Lee Wannell puts his hands in some poo. That's too much.
That's too far for me.
That was too far. It's a good job you didn't stick around.
Someone
That
got a
film
key
gets
in the
way
eye
worse.
within the first half hour, maybe.
Oh
maybe.
yeah.
Potty humor, not for me.
Yeah.
Love it much, guys. They'll be fasting by now, Mark. Get off.
Farting by the Almach.
Disgusting.
Album name. I mean, so what's our history? We've reviewed the first one on this podcast before. I think we generally liked it. There's like certain conventions that they built into the franchise that I just don't like anymore. I think they kind of date it quite a bit. You know, when someone's having an emotionally tense moment, they can't just like close. I don't know, leave the actor to do it on their own. They have to sort of overemphasize it with a squealing noise and shake the camera. Like everything's
Yeah.
constantly squealing and squeaking.
And that was still happening in this one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All
Why
of
is
those
that?
tropes. All
Yeah,
of
they
those
don't
tropes.
need that.
Oh man.
When
All
there's
those-
a bit later on when like a pig corpse falls out of a car and it squeals, it goes, "Meow," and it's like, it's a pig corpse. No one there is screaming.
I mean, I just want to
Yeah.
read out this, right? So this is the IMDb plot synopsis, single sentence. A criminal mastermind unleashes a twisted form of justice and Spiral, the terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saul. I mean, we are obviously going to go into spoilers, but criminal mastermind? Do me a favor, for God's sake. Absolutely not.
I mean,
No,
he is a bit of a mastermind because he masterminds the entire plot.
don't believe
Like,
it. Didn't believe it for a second.
I mean,
Especially-
you have to be a mastermind to even get like one of these elements of this plot to come together in the way he had
His-
it in mind.
All
So
right.
he had to have been a mastermind
Here's all-
just to get that big, all that wax in them pipes. That's hard.
I mean,
He's a
it's
serious-
beyond being a mastermind. That's being superhuman. But also, his reasoning, and again, I am skipping right to the end there. I'm really sorry. His whole reasoning for kind of doing things under the guise of Jigsaw was that, like, yeah, Jigsaw, he had some good ideas, some bad ideas, but I thought, why not? That's
Yeah.
literally his reasoning. He has no reasoning. I kind of wanted his reasoning to be, I used the guise of Jigsaw because I wanted to get everyone's attention, and I know how like the press and everything goes apeshit for this stuff.
Oh, apparently
So-
eat it up. He's been at it 8 times. You mentioned Jigsaw in the papers, front page.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the reason I'm saying I'm sort of playing down the fact that he's listed as criminal mastermind here is that I just didn't believe it, not for a second. And
I
as
think
soon
as
as
well, he seems to. The actor who they chose for that. Spoilers alert right from the get go here. Max Minghella. I don't know if he looks too. I don't know what age he is because he looks like something between 15 and 40. Like he's a bit of a strange looking. Like he looks too young
Yeah.
to be this. I don't know this being able to sort of pull all these inventions off, but also I don't know. Too innocent, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that might be what they're going for. He didn't seem like he was cast right to me.
No.
I think
The-
this whole film did absolutely nothing new with the franchise, considering it's calling itself a reboot. It felt like a rehash of old ideas. It felt like a rehash of old ideas, but also like it was already out of ideas after about 45 minutes.
Mhm.
I didn't see, and I knew exactly where it was going. There was a reveal, which is supposed to be this character's dead, and I was like, that character's the killer then, because we haven't seen him die.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him die, so he's definitely dead. Because Saw, without a shadow of a doubt, I reckon 95% of its victims die on screen, and we go through them going in, experiencing the trap. We go through it with them, and then we discover the body. It's
Yeah.
very, very rare that anyone dies off screen. So as soon as someone dies off screen, it's like, well, they're the killer. They're not really
If-
dead. They're the killer.
Yeah,
If they
that's how I
did
know.
like test screenings and they gave someone like a buzzer to say when you think you know the killer, I imagine their computer blew up or something when they got to that bit because it's so obvious. It's so obvious that he's the killer.
Who guessed it within like the first few minutes is like, all right.
Yeah. I think it maybe wants you to think it's Sam Jackson, doesn't it? For a while.
Yeah, they might have a little bit of implication.
Yeah.
that as well. But it doesn't really sell it hard enough for you to ever really consider it that long.
Yeah.
I
mean-
think I worry that this franchise, it will never be done because people will always watch these films. They always will, no matter how badly they're received critically. I mean, this one's obviously not been completely panned, but I don't think anyone's going mad on it. But I just think until it just does something completely different, gets lines up all the tropes and says, right, this is all the stuff that makes a Saw franchise. It's all going in the bin.
Yeah,
It's
but
all going in
at
the
that
bin.
but at that point, like, how do they make it? Like, there has to be
I'd have two
Just call it
options that I would
just call it Spiral.
propose.
Just call it Spiral. Don't have the little tagline with from the Book of Saw. What is this a Saw? Is this a Saw sequel?
But I'm thinking
Oh,
from an
it's kinda
investor,
like
from a financial point of
loosely-
view, they're like, they just don't. They need to know that it's. They think the audience is too stupid, so they're like, it has to have the word Saw
Yeah.
in there.
If you wanted
Spiral,
something that was
Jigsaw,
going to make
Saw. What's the guy's
Spiral
name?
and Saw,
John.
one L. Oh, John Kramer. No, John Kramer. Is that his name?
I mean Kramer. Maybe. I mean, isn't
Kramer
John
versus
Kramer?
John Craven's news Saw round.
Yeah.
No, if I was going to do Saw and try and look at what the objective of this film, as they stated, was to reboot it and have a new beginning. Both of these are totally on the nose, and one of them is impossible. But personally, if I'm a big Hollywood producer, I either get, obviously Wes Craven is not available, but someone who could do something really quite postmodern with it and maybe say, hey, maybe you throw away a lot of the stuff with Saw of the original and actually make it a work of fiction, and you do a
Good
new Nightmare.
Yeah.
And say, you take one step closer to reality with that one and say, oh yeah, these things are loads of fictional things about it. Or
Yeah, you'd have a really crap jigsaw killer person whose traps don't work.
or applied with real world physics that just go wrong and they break all the time and there's too many variables. Like, oh, I didn't think he'd like really shake those pipes really hard.
You know,
and then break.
in Portal 2, Wheatley takes the role of GLaDOS, but he's really crap at doing the thing.
Yeah.
So he ends up just kind of like brute forcing the things against the main character. I mean, you have like that, like have like a really inept jigsaw killer.
Yeah. And then he just to start doing the killing bits. Or the other alternative that I would put forward is give it to Zack Snyder, because it'd be fucking stupid. But you know what? He'd lean into it. He wouldn't half measure it.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just
You're the
It's
Zack.
Give it to
so
Zach.
I can't even think of there's something else where like it's marketed as a reboot and then there isn't a reboot. Like this isn't a reboot. There's nothing to suggest this is a reboot. This is just another Saw film.
It's
Yeah.
a late sequel without because you don't have a supernatural element, and they've stayed away from that as far as I remember. But you've done like old John Kramer must have been recording tapes and cassettes like for years running up to his death. Like you cannot at this point like go back to anything that's from him again. So what you're left with is kind of the
You say that,
premise
but they
and
keep-
the
they keep-
connection, but without the spirit.
Yeah.
There's always a Michael Jackson or a Prince album coming out like over and over again. People are
Yeah.
discovering things. What's that, Tupac? Yeah, he's done
Yeah.
a load of
He,
old.
much like those guys, he just recorded every word in the dictionary with every possible intonation.
Yeah.
So
Hello.
this is
Hello.
this is what you do. You have the copycat killer, and he's trying to recreate Saw 1 in exactly the same way. So we know all the traps and we know how they're supposed to go, but then
he's got indigestion.
yeah. but they all kind of blunder and break and stuff. I think being at the mercy of a kind of evil but sort of insane idiot might actually be quite terrifying, especially if you're the one who keeps ending up in these traps over and over again.
And then at the end, the evil, insane idiot gets caught by an old cassette of John Kramer going, "Are you like ripping me off, do you?" Well,
Rip your skin off.
I anticipated
again.
this. Yeah, now you will have to rip yourself off to live.
Yeah. So this is also, I guess, a big swing because they got bigger names. Chris Rock. That's not a huge name. It's only 8 characters, and he also got Samuel L. Jackson. Bit of a bigger name, that one. Bloody hell.
Got a middle one in there.
You can short it down to Sam Jackson, but nobody likes that. Everyone goes,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's two pretty big actors for the franchise, I think.
And I know that certainly Chris Rock wanted to do this because, and he's a producer on it as well, because he's a big fan of the franchise, right? Like he wanted to get involved with it.
He's so loud, I will say.
It's really hard to separate him from comedy. There is a bit quite early in the film where it's like, is this just 5 minutes of like your stand-up material? You know, when he's talking about being married.
Yeah.
I
liked a lot of that stuff. It felt in the first, I don't know, the first half an hour or so when he was doing a lot of his stand-up stuff, that felt like quite a unique character to put in this kind of situation. But then I just kind of feel like that kind of got lost, and they just became just loud and
But there's a lot, so many cliches to his character as well. I mean, there's that side of it, but the fact that he's a grizzled cop who only works alone, and he's divorced, and he's been through a tragedy, and his dad used to be the what was he?
The big chief.
The big cheese. It's just so many cliches. Like if you're writing a police officer character, there are so many.
He has a department's worth of cliches. Like, you know, there should be the person whose dad was the chief, and the person that only works alone, but he's all of them. He's all of them in one.
And he's off out there doing his own cases and stuff. It's like, can you work like that? Can you just walk in one day and go, right, what am I going to do today? Oh no, I'm going undercover. No, you've got this paperwork to do.
He doesn't share either. He's not undercover. He doesn't want other people to be the leader. He's like sorry for the British cultural reference, both geography and time related. He's like the Zippy of police. He's like, no, I won't share it.
I really didn't know I didn't know where you were going with that, but I can guarantee you I did not think you were going to go with Zippy from Rainbow. So I've got to applaud that.
The Zippy of police work. No, I'm not sharing this case. Fuck you, other man.
No, it's all mine, this case. All mine. Yum, 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 yum. All of these cases. Yum, yum.
Zippy.
Oh, Zippy, a twat. That's what I felt like. As soon as he's given a partner who's like really respectful and courteous, and like sort of, I know it kind of sucks that I'm a rookie and I've been put on a case of
a gently spoken, quite sort of meek and mild, a bit like George from Rainbow.
Exactly like George, yeah. But George, he can kind of stick up for himself though. George, he's a bit meek, but he does stick up for himself. He's a bit of a twat.
Samuel L. Jackson is Jeffrey in this metaphor, I guess.
Who's Samuel L. Jackson is definitely Jeffrey. Who's Bungle in this metaphor?
That police detective who he was going to give the chief was going to give the job to.
Or maybe the one who like stitched him up. The one who said, "What's that? Going out, Zippy? Nah, he can deal with it himself." And then Zippy got shot.
Fitch, Detective Fitch.
But yeah, even like the like
people
captain.
come to this show for. Like, if you're listening to Empire or Total Films podcast, I guarantee you, without even listening, you're not getting these type of metaphors.
No, and it was good. It was a solid one. Also, the police captain in this, I mean, I just don't necessarily believe her as a captain either. I don't know why. Everyone just kind of feels like wrong. No one seems like it. The world they're trying to create is so gritty and down to earth and real and just like, oh god, blood and guts and sinew and all this horrible stuff. But none of these characters feel like they're genuine working cogs.
Well, she's a real Doogie Howser character, isn't she? Because she's meant to be like chief of police. And they do, in fairness to the film, they do tackle it with a line of throwaway dialogue later on. Like, how do you think she is chief of police despite being, by a good decade, the youngest person here? Like they do reference it, but it does make the casting a little bit harder to get by.
Yeah.
I don't know, just everyone, even the cops on the front desk. I was just thinking, who are these people? This ensemble of just morons.
I guess general opinions. Then might as well go into it. We begin at a carnival with the man from Del Monte, right, going around.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. I walked in, so I must have been like a few minutes late to the cinema. I think it must have started on the money because there are no adverts, no trailers, because usually I'd delay it a little bit, so I miss all that. As soon as I came in, man from Del Monte's running about. I'm like, what's this then? Oh, it is the film. The film has begun, and the Manfred Del Monte is after. What's he running after?
He's at a carnival, and then someone robs a purse, and then
Yeah.
he chases the purse snatcher into a hall of mirrors or like an abandoned warehouse that's at the fun fair. Lots of abandoned buildings in this city, and he falls for a trick where, there's a mannequin, and then
Classic.
someone in a pig face gives you a chloroform and he's captured.
Yeah.
And then we roll straight in,
I-
points for a quick runaway. We're straight onto a video.
Talking of chloroform, I watched a YouTube video that debunks that. Apparently, it takes about 4 or 5 minutes to genuinely make someone pass out from that.
Oh, really?
Apparently, it's difficult to
Yeah.
get as well. It's like it's really difficult to get hold of.
Luke's tried.
I'd imagine they'd put you on a list if you went to went to your local Boots the chemist and you have some chloroform, please. What's it for?
Headache.
Not kidnapping.
Can't
Are
sleep.
you a jigsaw, mate? No, I'm not a jigsaw. Because if you're a jigsaw, you have to tick it on the form, and I'm going to refuse you. Not.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And then there's obviously a bit where there's a shadowy figure in the pig mask that like comes out of the shadows, grabs Manfred Del Monte, pulls him into the shadows. Again, always accompanied with that horrible, high-pitched, squealing, horrific noise.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know. What's that supposed to be? Obviously, it's just a soundtrack
Gives
choice.
you a jump scare, but they mustn't be doing it in real life. Otherwise, Jigsaw would be getting caught all the time because everyone in that carnival would go,
Pigs get murdered over there.
squealing pig. It's that famous, that notorious Jigsaw killer. He's always doing that 9 times on record. Well, 8 times because this is the 9th film.
Yeah.
That'd have been.
It's just
he'd
annoying
been caught.
because how many times did that happen? I reckon at least 5 in this film.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Just
whenever
squeal.
someone gets kidnapped or whatever.
Squeals.
It's weird that when the killer is unmasked, he no longer sounds like that. Like he's just a normal guy at that point. He doesn't make the pig noises.
Doesn't go wee as he comes towards anyone.
Yeah. So
There's like a man noise instead. Man.
I am man. Yeah.
so the guy's name is Boswick. The
Bozzy.
detective, Bozzy, and he wakes up in a trap. He's on a subway train line, and he's kind of hoisted up. He's got his tongue like clamped out of his mouth or something. So he's got his hat on, and he's got to get. The idea is that he's got to rip his own tongue out. I think. That's the thing I want to say about. I liked some of the traps in this one, but I got to say I thought some of them were just. I didn't quite understand the logic of, especially like the police chief later on. I was like, what? How did she?
That was impossible. Because anyway, we'll
all
come
of them
to
are
it.
impossible to get. All of them are impossible to get out of. I mean, that's always kind of been a thing, isn't it, with the Jigsaw Killer? Where like, sure, the traps are horrific and easy to get out of, really, but you kind of got to lose something terrible.
I feel like
rip your ears off.
Number one almost had it, but this was one of the elements of the franchise which went off the rails the soonest for me. Right now, part of it is time. Well, I tell you what, I have 2 problems with this trap. The first one is that the killer in this case has no sense of dramatic pause. Whereas the first one, when old John Kramer was doing it, it was like, all right, mate, I want to play a game. With this one, it's like, Detective Boswick, I want to play a game. And it's like, oh, come on, bit of showmanship.
Does he
But
say I want to
apart-
play a game as well?
Yeah, he says, play a game if
Yeah.
you fancy.
It's obviously just me, but I was just like, I don't know, just the pig mask. I want to play a game stuff. Like
The voice didn't sound as good either. I've got
No.
to say.
the
Didn't
voice
sound as
sounded
good as John
different, but
Kramer's.
I just wanted
Yeah.
something. I wanted something completely different. Like, are you gonna plug a TV in down there as well?
Yeah, and also like that's
Battery.
the thing. Like one, you don't know when he's exactly going to wake up unless you're there going, is he awake? Oh, what if he's not properly awake? You won't catch this. I can't play it again. And the
Good
train's
point.
going to come anyway because
Yeah.
you're so incumbent on time. You never know exactly when they're going to wake up. And then the whole thing with the trap, the video says, "Oh, the train's coming in 2 minutes, so pull your tongue out or die." 2 minutes is barely like that's no time.
I'm also pretty sure if you pull your tongue out, you're going to die. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you could survive from that blood loss, right?
Yeah,
Well,
you-
I don't know. Maybe you could.
you definitely like the best will in the world, you're rolling the dice, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you're not going to be able to. We get some more traps later on where I don't think, even if you immediately got on board with doing the sacrifice part of the trap, that there is enough time for you to do it before, before you'd
Yeah.
have been got by the trap anyway.
Yeah.
I just want something new, and it's not like I know what the thing I want is, and that sounds really frustrating because I won't know what I want until I see it. It's not that, but I just want something completely different. And I know it's kind of lame because obviously some slasher movies keep the exact things that make them those movies. I understand that, but I don't think Saul has ever really been good enough to justify that, for me at least. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people would disagree, but I just think a lot of the stuff that makes it Saul doesn't work anymore, and if it did, it maybe worked once. So the fact that we just keep going, like flogging a dead horse, whatever you say,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and just you keep doing the same thing and wondering why these films aren't successful. It kind of just feels like, well, what the hell?
Yeah. So he doesn't get out. He
No.
I think the idea is that he kind of slips. He doesn't even try. I mean, he slips off his little stool, and his tongue pulls out at the same time as he gets hit by the train, and he's just a mush by that
Yeah, I
point.
mean that'll get your tongue out, I guess, being
Yeah.
smashed to literal smithereens by a train.
Yeah.
I think the intention of Jigsaw here was that he would jump off the ladder and rip his tongue out, but he's got his hands free and he's trying to pull it out instead. And 2 minutes isn't long enough to do that. You get trained. And his irony here is that because he always goes on the stand and uses his lying tongue to railroad people, now it's your time to be railroaded, mate, but with a train.
Yeah. So then we're introduced to Banks,
Zippy.
Detective Banks.
Zippy Banks.
Zeke Banks. Yeah. And he, I guess we're in the police station at this point already, and we already get the idea that no one likes him for some reason, because he's so loud. He just quiets down a little bit.
He's like in a criminal gang first, isn't he? We don't know it's him. He's planning a robbery of a drugs den, and they run in and they steal all the money.
It's like a GTA 5 mission.
Yeah.
But don't worry, he's not a bad one. He was tricking them all, and he was undercover without authorization because the police bust the robbery. And I'm like, is that you? And it's like,
Is that you, Zeke? Yeah, I'm undercover here. You never told anyone. Well, it's kind of my thing. I'm always doing mad shit like this. That's kind of what they say. Chris Rock is 56 years old. How does that make you feel?
Wow. Yeah.
He's looking good.
Yeah.
The man is looking good. Can't argue with that. Because I initially thought, hang on a minute, Samuel Jackson is his dad. As far as I remember, they're fairly close in age. There's me thinking Chris was like 56, and I don't know, Samuel Jackson was like 60. Samuel Jackson's like 70 something.
Yeah, they're both doing very well. It's that Hollywood healthcare.
Hollywood healthcare. It's just a tube at the bum every 2 months.
Full of human growth hormone, just pumping and full of youth.
Yeah. That's what you get.
But yeah, he's shown himself to be a loose cannon. He goes into the thing, and the chief tells him off, but he doesn't care. He's given as good as he gets. No, fuck you.
Wouldn't keep his job. Sorry, don't mean. Wouldn't keep his job. They ain't gonna put up with that. What, you going off doing your own cases on your own? No, absolutely not.
Going and technically robbing people. Yeah.
So then we get all the cliches, oh, come on, you got to learn to play well with others. We're going to assign you the rookie as a new partner. I don't need no rookie, for God's sake. That's just all a bit.
I thought his name was so we've got Banks. I thought the other guy's name was Shanks.
Banks and Shanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his name's Shank.
Shank, yeah.
So Banks and Shanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shank says he's like a fan of Samuel L. Jackson, not the actor, the character he plays in this film. And that's why he joins the force. That's kind of our first clue. Where we get the idea that he was inspired to become a policeman. So Banks doesn't like him being there. obviously. I think he makes him go to get him a coffee or something like that. Is there like
Yeah,
a
he's quite rude
poo on
to
his
him.
desk or something? There's like
I don't remember a poo on his desk. I remember it was like, "How do you like your coffee?" Because he's trying to, offers him a bit of an olive branch
he
as the
says,
rookie. And it's
"Alone."
like, yeah,
Oh.
alone, nowhere near you, mate.
Jesus.
it'd be better if you were dead.
Psycho Gorman has got nothing on his style dialogue compared to Zeke.
But like Banks sits down at his desk and he does like something on his desk and he doesn't know what he doesn't like whatever it is. He knocks it off into his bin with the cup.
What's a dead
and
mouse?
Oh,
Oh, it's a dead rat because he's a rat because he told on a crooked policeman because
Yeah,
he did
but-
the right thing and ratted out a crooked.
Why-
Oh, you're a rat now.
It was an actual police officer actually murdered somebody, which he like got a witness statement from. How can they be annoyed at Chris Rock for grassing him up? He actually killed someone. He didn't just like take some money or like
also,
take some drugs.
yeah.
He literally murdered
The
someone.
good kind of police corruption.
The only
The
other
good
witness, the only
sex-
witness of the crime, he says he like does the shush thing to the kid, so like don't tell anyone about this. But like surely that's if he wants the policeman to go down or to know what actually happened.
Yeah, how would he if he did because he didn't actually see it?
Yeah, the only person who saw it was.
I mean, the details of how that guy came to actually get sent down are all over the place. It never would have stood up and trial.
Yeah, it's just done. It's just done in a really roundabout way where we're led to believe that he told on him and he went to prison for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Why does everyone still feel like they need to stick up for this police officer who's like gone and like found God now and come out of prison? Just like, all right, I'm over here still getting called a
He's
rat.
fine. He's fine about it. And also, I mean, I will be the first to admit that I do not know the staff turnover statistics of this fictional city's police department. But in 10 years or whatever, no one has transferred, no one has retired, no one has, been signed off or whatever. So still, this group of policemen that all hate him for being a rat are all working in the same department, just still not liking him.
And they're like to the point where they're still putting dead rats on his desk. Like at some point, you just be like, I just won't talk to him. Like they're still really angry about it.
Also, get
10
HR,
years
get
of
HR
getting
involved.
rats.
I've got a dead rat on my desk again. Oh, do you think it's not? It just died there. Do you reckon it just died there accidentally? No, they're calling me a rat.
Every
I'm
week
grassing
for
them up
10
again. I'm
years.
double rat. I'm grassing them up again.
Can't tell anyone about that. Just
Oh,
put it in
and
the bin
maybe
and move on.
Maybe if he owns it and says, "Yeah, my nickname, the Rat," they'll be like, "Oh no, now we're like feeding into a nickname." I'll have
And
to
then
give
he
him
bites the
something
rat's
else."
head off. Like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Ozzy did it with a bat, obviously, but he bites the rat's head off, drinks the blood like that, and they're like, "Fuck, not gonna mess with him."
Yeah, I'm the Rat King now, bitches, is what Chris Rock might say.
I like the idea of the other police people being like, "Yeah, we got him again. He doesn't know it was us. We got him."
yeah. And then he goes off just like loads of rats following after
Oh, he
him.
could become like the Pied Piper. Oh,
Yeah.
He's gone about this the wrong way. We've done this in 5 minutes, lads.
Well,
What
this-
Chris Rock, a professional comedian, could have done with 10 years.
This guy Fitch, he, so I guess we don't know the backstory
old to
just
be a-
yet, but
Too old to be
Yeah.
a police officer. He's on his last legs.
he
sweating. He's all got all
gets-
flecked skin. He's like, "Ugh."
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's a bit of a back and forth, like who's going to be in charge of the case. I think there's a guy called O'Brien who's supposed to be on it, but then Chris
Oh,
Rock
they've
is
got-
so loud.
They've got to go
They're-
see the body first. So they get a call saying,
yeah.
Yeah.
right, there's a body here. They go and look. They look at all the chunks. Chris Rock does his stand-up routine about about being
Difference
divorced as a
between-
policeman.
chunks and people.
And they immediately go and see some chunks. He says, "Oh, a bum died on the train track." He says, "Oh, I don't think a bum is counting the steps. He's got a Fitbit on here."
Oh yeah.
And then they go back to the station. Then they get the clue that comes through. You get a little USB stick where he puts it in his Shanks's computer and sees that it's they see a spiral painted on a wall. And apparently, every detective in this city is also an expert architect. They're all from the film The Relic, because they're like, "I recognise that building. It's the old courthouse down on Fifth." And it's like, you saw one wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive, though.
And they do it about 4 times in this film.
Well,
they
they
look at a picture of
are.
a wall and go,
Police detectives.
And they have
They
been
could
working the
spot a
same
brick
on
from a mile
the
away.
same- they have been working in the same department for years and years on end,
Yeah.
all hating each other, stewing away inside that office, just wanting to fucking rat, you rat, you rat. I'm gonna study
Yeah.
these walls when I'm out and about.
When you're not going for lunch with anyone, you've got time to understand every brick wall in the community. So yeah, they basically, with this information, they get his badge, and they understand that it's the man from Del Monte who was railroaded. And then we get to what you were saying, Luke, about the other guy wanting the case.
Yeah, but I don't know when the clue comes in, but the clue basically is talking to Banks. So he says, "It's my case." That he's talking to me directly. At that point, I feel like that's when you don't want to be. That shouldn't be your case. Then, like, surely as soon as the killer's
Yeah.
sort of targeting you, then you shouldn't be in charge. But Chris Rock's really loud, like I said previously. So he gets the case for some reason
By proxy.
by proxy. Yeah.
He has a chat with the chief in the toilets about it. Like, he storms off and she comes after
There's
him
a
to
good
tell
bit
him.
where they go into the toilet and the guy peeing, and the police chief is just like, zip up or something.
Zip up
Oh,
and
yeah.
leave. And it's like,
And then there's
can't
there's
just
something
stop. It's really going
there's
to
something
sting.
about Mary
Yeah.
moment. A
Yeah.
massive moth has just flown into the room. I'm a little bit worried. It's quite close.
Oh, you're going to get mimicked.
I might get mimicked.
Yeah.
Avenge me if I do.
So yeah, he basically has a row with the police chief in the toilets, and then basically gets his own way because they go back into the room, and the chief like says, "Oh, actually, Detective Banks is going to run the case." After he's basically told everyone to fuck off in there, so
Yeah.
he's not fostering the best thing. Tough position to be the chief, because basically it looks like you've got no authority because you chose someone who's going to do the case. Chris Rock had Ezekiel had like a meltdown. You went off and had a chat to him quietly, and then came back and he's got exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the others basically go, "Well, I'm going to pretend he's not talking." So he goes, "Right, I'm going to need this
Oh,
case. I'm
yeah.
going to need this
Oh,
evidence."
yeah.
And everyone's like drinking their coffee, like scratching their head with their like middle
Someone
finger.
just
and
like,
stuff.
"Oh, my phone's ringing. What's that? Yeah, load of shit. Yeah, yeah."
What's that? Your mum? Oh yeah. He's
Yeah.
and then the police chief gets her like authority back by saying,
Ah!
You're getting attacked by that moth.
she's
It's weird because we can't see it. This is very host. We can't see. You keep disappearing in the background.
oh, if he comes back now, he might be Mimic.
Yeah.
He might be those cockroach people.
All across the street, look. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went, but it came right at my face.
Oh, did it?
Watching.
Jesus.
It laid eggs in my
Nostril.
It was having the
It was very fresh because of that nostril Bulbasaur thing you've been
Oh,
using.
yeah.
it was having the same thing. Like, it was in here, then obviously you couldn't hear it, but it was like, "This is my episode of the podcast." And it was like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah, it just flies in and goes, "Spiral was actually a great film. Yeah, it's actually the best movie out of all of the franchise. Yes, it's 10 A+.
It's a bold new direction. But yeah, so the chief basically says, "No, stop being dickheads. Like, just take his orders." And they go, "All right, chief." Then they whisper to each other, "Not really gonna help him. That'd be unhelpful."
Yeah.
Yeah, and they and off they go to investigate the case. Is this where Ezekiel sees his dad? They just, or does he go? He goes to pay his respects to the widow of the man from Del Monte. So the widow from Del Monte.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Mrs.
And
Boswick.
his ex is there as well.
Yeah,
Why's she there?
She's
just
like
for
a
this
friend.
one scene.
Yeah, just for this one scene. She's a friend of the widow.
Right.
And I think they're all
Okay.
friends, I think.
Yeah.
Like, they're all friends.
Yeah.
And that was it, because I think Fitch was like, "Oh yeah, I've rang her and told her that her husband's dead." What? Do you even know her? Did you leave a message? Did you see he just sent a text? Hub's dead, spelled DED. Hub's dead soz. Yeah, soz. Hub's
Soz
dead
hard.
soz. Sad face. Monkey face with the covering the eyes.
That face, like the shocked face.
Yeah.
And an orange, because he was the man for Del Monte.
Soz, funeral NXT WK next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so then Chris Rock goes around there and says, like, look, I'm really sorry. And then a great opportunity there to have a little dig at your wife when she says something like about their kid.
also,
and he goes,
you can
well, I don't
you
bloody
can
see him.
you can see my mate's widow, but I can't see my own son. That's tangential at best, isn't it, Ezekiel?
Mm.
And he's like, well, I'm really bitter about these things, but don't worry, this won't come up again, and it doesn't.
I don't know if there's anything likable really about Ezekiel as a character. I'm never once thinking, oh, he's had it tough. I'm always just thinking, oh,
I mean,
fucking hell.
I guess
knock
he
on the head."
does the right thing when it comes to police work. He doesn't like being crooked cops, which comes up a bit later. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
not a good team player, and he is sad about the man from Del Monte because he was the person that was still nice to him and would still talk to him. But he's
Yeah. Let him wear his hat
he's
now and
but he's
again.
dead now, sadly. And then he goes and sees his dad, who is also his landlord.
Yeah, and he's not paying rent.
Dad Lord.
Yeah, his dad lord's just waiting in his house, and he goes, "Oh, I could have shot you." He goes, "Nah, I'd have shot you, mate,
Because I've already got a gun on you. Why has anyone got a loaded gun? Just put the
Yeah.
guns down, for God's sake. Your family.
Yeah, I have
And also,
never
he won't pay the rent.
accidentally been surprised by my dad, and we had an argument about who would have killed who. Could have killed
I would
you.
have definitely had you then. I would have snapped your neck like a twiglet.
Well, they did say like they've not spoken to each other in years, I think, or something.
They only
Um,
speak when they do a bank transfer for the rent. And in that little, like, however many characters you get, 12 characters.
The
and
reference.
The reference. Hi, Dad. Hat. Hi, Dad. Hat.
WYD.
Yeah. And he never responds because he never sends him anything back. So he never responds. One-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Samuel L. Jackson's like, oh, so you've got a Jigsaw copycat. That sounds like a bad one. Is he like, don't get involved or something?
He just said, "I'll tell you what. If you come round tonight, I'll order us in some takeout, and we'll solve
Yeah.
it together. If as you're sad that we're not really hanging out anymore." He thought, "Oh, that sounds lovely. Thanks."
Yeah.
Yes, doesn't it? I'll order some pork and we can eat it and talk about that pig masked killer. It'll be a great time.
Yeah. So they go. I think it's around here. Okay, so they get a lead. It's the drug dealer that Boz was after when he chased him down into the wherever he went to. So Fitz knows where this drug dealer is, but he doesn't tell. He doesn't.
Yeah. So they've been
tell.
chasing down the lead, don't they? They go to a
Yeah.
shop, see it on some CCTV, track down the drug dealer dude in like some abandoned. It's just like a warehouse, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like where his
Dirty old
where his little
warehouse.
base is, and he goes, "Oh, should we tell Zeke?" And they go, "No, I told you I wasn't going to help him."
I think he
I'm just
says.
going on
I
my
think he
own."
Having
says.
dinner with his dad.
Fuck him. And then later on, when they're like on about, do you want to send back up? He says, "Fuck him." That's all he ever says about him.
Yeah, he's been
Fuck him.
10 years at this shit, just basically fucking him over. And this time it comes back to bite him because he falls for the same trick as the man from Del Monte did, where there's like a pile of rocks roughly assembled like a body, and he goes, "That's my suspect." And he goes, "Come on, get up." And he goes, "Oh, just a mannequin captured, chloroformed with a tea towel soaked in ether." And he's like,
His
Very
one,
mannequin.
his trap, it was really grim, but I don't understand what the point was. So he wakes up in like a paddling pool, and he's got his fingers in Chinese finger traps, and there's like a.
I love it if this is you pitching the trap.
The water's rising, and there's like some exposed copper wires. I mean, something could just splash that and make a connection and be dead anyway.
Yeah.
But the idea is that he's supposed to pull his fingers off to escape because he's added two fingers in too many pies or something. And
Or he
it's like,
points
"No,
the finger at people. He's like, "You."
okay, with all fingers. Does he know how to point?
Yeah.
Hey, you. What? There's 10 of us
You've
to
had
do.
too
Which
many
one?
manicures. Fits. No,
You've had it
it's
too
time
good.
to-
You've had it too good for too long. So you must lose your
Yeah.
precious fingers if you want to live. So you've got to feed your fingers into these gears that will pull them off.
Yeah,
before the water gets high enough that you'll be electrocuted.
He's got a
And by
mask
the
on.
way,
It's got a mask on as well. What's the mask for?
He's got to like bite down in order to make the machine go, isn't he?
What?
oh, does he?
So
Didn't
he
follow
bites
that.
I
down,
didn't see.
and the machine goes. So every time he screams, the
Oh.
machine stops. So he's got to like bite down in order for it to
Wow,
drag him in. This,
that's
to be
convoluted.
fair, this was the yeah,
yeah.
this was the only moment in the film I think where I was genuinely like, oh, gruesome.
But the fingers start to pull off.
Yeah, when they get
Yeah.
pulled off, it was pretty.
And I mean,
Wasn't pleasant.
I think for that kind of thing, I'd say either go all in or
Yeah.
don't, because if he goes halfway, and like he gets like some fingers off, but some are like kind of half off, and I just think,
Yeah.
what was the point of that? All that
He
pain.
runs out of time and gets electrocuted anyway.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it, just like, I know it must be hard.
Yeah. I don't think there's any scenario. I was about to say, would that kill him as well? But then I was like, oh yeah, he does get electrocuted as well afterwards.
Yeah, it's weird because he kind of bleeds out into the paddling pool and also kind of cooks in it and electrocutes. So he's a kind of a weird
Hot soup.
Yeah, blueberry stew at the end. It's not nice. Not nice.
Is
at
he in
all.
a paddling pool? Could he not have?
I don't think it was a paddling pool. I think it was.
Tip the bath over.
I don't know what it was.
I think it was like just a big trough,
Yeah,
like a big horrible trough. I mean, it might have been a paddling pool. Jigsaw Killer might have gone down B&M, seen one on sale.
yeah.
When the weather's cold, because not now during bank holiday weekend, the price would be astronomical. But
If it
he's
was
got
a paddling pool,
hit one up 15
yeah.
quid.
because this killer, I mean, he can't be made of money. He's probably just looking at what he's got in the garage or in the shed.
He's
Cook
like,
that.
It's like an episode of
load of-
Taskmaster. You just got to see what you
Some
can
exposed
find.
fucking wires I've got there.
I've
Stick
got
that.
a
Yeah,
shitload
well.
of wax. I got a shitload of wax from all those Yankee candles people give me for Christmas for 10 years. Get them all in the big vat.
Save them for the big one. But
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, this guy again, he's not really given enough time. He's got literally, didn't he say like you've got like 90 seconds or you've got like 2 minutes before the water reaches this wire?
Yeah.
This killer must not enjoy watching people suffer. There it is. There's the fucking moth. Carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he can't stomach it. So ooh, speed this up. Let's get them dead and move on.
Yeah, but yeah, again, this is the problem because it doesn't feel like that guy was trying to find a way around the trap or was wrestling whether can I live without my fingers to
Yeah.
survive. It just felt like he was immediately on board with what he needed to do to get through the trap, but he just wasn't able to do it.
I didn't realize that the mouth thing. I didn't realize you had to bite down, which kind of makes sense. Yeah. Well, so he's out for the count, and then I mean, pretty soon after Shanks disappears, right? He's the next one.
Yeah, I think around about now, some officers begin to like accuse Zeke of being responsible, mainly because of his history of Fitch. Because I think they say, "Oh, it could have been someone who had a grudge against him," and everyone just looks at. It's like, no, he's got a grudge with me, not the other way around.
Yeah,
He's got a grudge with me.
Yeah, I guess his grudge is
Again.
more recent because they show a flashback of the previous
Oh, yeah.
time Fitch said, "Oh fuck him," and he got shot.
yeah.
Where a man with a spooky eye shot him when he asked for backup, and Samuel L. Jackson turns up and says, "He called for backup 3 times. Which one of you was the closest?" And he's like, "Me," and he smashes his head into the in flashback mode. He's dead now. He's got no fingers, but he's
Oh yeah.
in the past he bumped his head into a garage door and said, "I'm going to shoot you," but he doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
so Zeke is accused of it.
Yeah, and then I think a
It wasn't me.
package gets sent, doesn't it? Oh yeah, the next package, which is like a courier comes in. And this is what I mean about all the police being incompetent. They kind of just let him wander in and then they just go, "No, stop, drop, get him down on the floor. He
Yeah.
might be the jigsaw killer."
He's not. We never see the courier again. He just maybe he was just a rude courier.
They
and he
do they do
drops
at least say they
something
question
in.
him, right? Because if they just let him go, right,
Yeah, I think-
get
I think
out of
they
here.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a bit of skin that has Charlie, which is we've learned is allegedly his partner's son's name that's tattooed onto his chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as this popped up, I knew, and I'm not trying to say that, because most of the time I'm a little bit behind on films like this, like working out exactly what the twist is supposed to be, or who the killer is, or what the actual crux of the movie is. With this, I was like, well, that's obvious. It's definitely him. Then there's no way it's not him.
I mean, your
Yeah.
suspicions are already there.
Yeah.
For me anyway. Yeah, it's too heavy-handed. Don't bury the lead enough. In the package, there's also something that leads them to the butcher's, where they find his body.
Yeah.
It's properly like The Simpsons. It's like Shanks has been replaced with a skeleton.
Yeah.
But they surmise that it is Shanks that's been all skinned alive. No need to do any further checks. They think he is definitely this skeleton.
I mean, it's definitely him. I mean, I never saw him skinned alive, but if I had to imagine him skinned alive, it'd look exactly like that.
Have you,
So-
let me answer you this question, detective, if that is your real profession. Have you ever seen Shanks and this skeleton in the same place at the same time?
Wait, so you're saying they are the same person?
They are the same person, yeah, the same skeleton and Shanks. Because, yeah,
Skeletor, what are you doing here? Yeah.
they buy it and they say, okay, that's him, skeleton. So too bad, so sad, my partner is dead. And then they move on very quickly.
I can't remember where it goes after this bit.
Something
Random
happens
cops
where
start being attacked, and Detective Banks / Ezekiel, a couple of things are escalating. So his dad, he picked up his Uber Eats for his dad on the stairs, but he's not been there, and he's been trying to catch up with him on the phone, but he hasn't been answering, and that continues for the next part of the film.
they do that thing where if someone doesn't answer their phone over and over again, you leave them a really angry voicemail, which I'm definitely going to listen to.
Yeah.
Pick up your damn phone!
No one listens to
realised-
voicemails. No one listens to voicemails.
Never ever. Before Shanks was replaced by a skeleton, they go and blind that drug dealer. There's a bucket that takes the money up for the drugs, and he puts like a dye bomb in there. It blows up in the guy's face. They go into his house, and then effectively, even though he's a good policeman, he tortures him because he tackles him into the room, breaks his leg, and then like
takes a photo of himself, a selfie with the broken leg,
pokes at it, and tries to get the evidence, but it's obviously a dead end because the guy doesn't know anything genuinely. But then Shanks gets replaced with a skeleton and taken away. At this point, or at some point around here, Ezekiel gets a message that says, while you're busy looking for more bodies to drop, I'll cut off your head. And then and at that point we see someone in a pig mask has been doing random attacks on policemen.
Yeah.
He's been doing random attacks on policemen, and he's out investigating. One thing I drew issue with here is that it says, "Oh, Jigsaw never targeted cops," and I was like, apart from like the 6 that he did.
Yeah. I mean, me, even as someone who doesn't even know the films very well, I was like, well, hang on a minute, yeah, he did. Because initially his reasoning for torturing and killing people was like, oh, they're bad people. And eventually his reasons were reaching so far. It was like, remember that one time when you did the recycling and there was that glass jar and had a paper label on it and you didn't want to separate it and you separated it? Well, that's it. Now you've got to pull this glass out your asshole.
You've got to separate yourself if you want to live.
You got to separate yourself. There's
now
glass and there's
it'll be
paper
separated.
inside your colon. You've got to separate it inside there.
sometimes-
Here's rubber gloves.
And sometimes with some of the police victims, especially in the later Saw movies, it's like really like quite positive things. Like the time that it's I think it's the time it's the SWAT captain, it might be in 3 or 4, and it's like, you always want to save everyone and you've got to learn that sometimes you can't. And I was like, it's quite an admirable thing to try and save everyone.
You, such a good person, aren't you? Always, when there's been a tragedy around the world, always changing your Facebook profile picture to the flag of that country. Well, this time, here's a horrible flag. You've got to
This
Behind
time
you.
you are the
I
one
do not
that's
know
gonna-
where I was going.
This
I
time
don't know
you
where I
will be
was going with
flagged. You got to hoist
Ben was
yourself
the
up a
jigsaw
flagpole.
killer.
Oh, really good thing you've done. Well, here's a horrible twist to that. Oh,
Suck
shut
your
up,
bum.
Jigsaw, you twat.
Also, like sometimes as well, it's like the plot of every like 90s family movie, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy. It's like you work really long hours and don't see your family enough. And it's like, I should have a whimsical adventure to solve this, not be put in a jigsaw. You imagine Jingle All the Way.
You
if it had
didn't get
been-
your boy the Ultraman figure.
Yeah.
Now
Now
you are
will be
Ultraman.
Turbo Man.
Yeah, that's
Turbo
Turbo Man.
Man's getting fired from a cannon straight up your ass.
Effectively, if that had been it, like Arnold Schwarzenegger wakes up in the Turbo Man outfit, like Howard, you didn't buy your son the Turbo Man.
It's just pathetic, isn't it? Like, just work out your differences with people, like an adult. Don't.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you do? I'm gonna go make a trap. I'm gonna make a trap, and then they'll have to do this. It's like, oh, come on, chill out, sit down, have a couple
John
more licks.
Kramer, use your experience for good. You know, sit Howard Gibson down. No, that's the sick day. Either way, sit Howard down and say, you know what, I Jigsaw, John Kramer, have had cancer and was in a terrible car crash. I've learned to understand the precious time we have. Don't work long hours at the mattress factory where you live.
Have we already had in Saw a copycat, right?
Yeah,
Like a
already happened?
disciple, I think.
The
like
cycle.
there's the Amanda is the apprentice, and then there's the FBI man that's an apprentice that then just, I think he takes the formula and says, well, you could have never escaped this trap. There was no way out of it. So in many ways, he's the worst villain.
Yeah.
But
You got to
yeah,
give them a way out, even if they end up just as a singular fleck of blood. They got to get out somehow. Yeah, it's I don't know. Like,
back on this one, they're wrong, and he's been targeting cops all the time.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I just wanted something to. Do you know what? I mean, I wanted something different, and I keep saying that, but I wanted something where it was like, oh, that's new. That's unexpected. It just felt like it was so obvious. It felt like if you can give me three options to what, after watching this for 30 minutes, three options to what who the killer was going to be and why. This was like one of the most obvious ones.
Yeah, I think the next trap is possibly, in some ways, the best, and in other ways, the most ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous because how on earth did he set that up down
In the
there?
basement of the police precinct, like the evidence room.
Yeah, without anyone going in and going, "What's that you've just put there?" Oh, it's just some
Oh,
evidence.
it's
I'm fucking
a
about with.
it's a tank of molten candle wax. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
To the
good.
case, is it? Yeah. I'm just gonna plug it in, keep it hot. Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
What is the trap for this woman
So-
exactly?
The police detective gets pig chloroformed, as does everyone, and wakes up. Again, no dramatic pause. It's like, hey, want to play a game? I paused more than they do on that video then. Hey, I want to play a game. It's literally how it rolls in.
Yeah.
So it's basically in 90 seconds, you've got a cloth over your face. In 90 seconds, boiling hot wax is going to start coming out of this, and you'll be suffocated under lots of, and I reiterate, boiling hot wax. Or you can paralyze yourself.
Or you can sever your spinal cord with this blade, which is just under your back.
Okay.
It's
There's a
just
blade
ridiculous.
just in your back. Yeah.
Again,
So-
another one where the decision has to happen immediately. We've only got a small window of time here.
I don't understand. So how does there's like a knife sticking in the neck, right? So I mean, how does that stop the wax from coming out?
apparently it'll stop it.
Okay. All right.
It will. The system
need
is
to-
so sophisticated enough it'll go and paralyzed. Okay, stop the wax.
Yeah.
Unless he's watching from somewhere. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who even
I mean,
knows?
to be
People
fair,
could just
it
go,
looks
oh no, I'm
painful.
paralyzed.
Like it is quite gruesome, the
Yeah.
death itself. I mean, it kind of melts the whatever, like the cloth to her face. Not as much face than left at the end.
Yeah, he melts it, and he's gone for thematic, appropriate wax as well. I bet he's been to one of those, those pop-up stores they do for specific holidays.
Mhm.
I bet he's been to a Halloween one and gone, black candles, please. He's gone the day after Halloween, though. and they're all being sold off cheap because he had
I
to get
mean-
a fair lot.
His intention is obviously just to kill these people because it's not like
Yeah.
he savors the pain of them going through some sort of life-changing decision or like some sort of horrific epiphany in a way. He
There's easier
obviously
ways to
wants
do it.
There's way easier ways to do it, considering they pretty much all die within like 90 seconds of them.
You can send the message
waking up.
still. You kill Boz with a bullet to the face, and then you take out his tongue and put his tongue somewhere like a old fashioned mafia man. If you
Yeah.
want to, what was the other one? Have the fingers guy just cut his fingers off. I mean, it's not
Just cut his fingers off.
just cut his fingers off.
Less time, less money. You won't be connected to the Jigsaw Killer because I mean the connection's pretty damn loose as well, isn't it?
Maybe that's what he wants though. Maybe he wants the connection to the Jigsaw
The
Killer.
notoriety.
Yeah.
Just naffing it.
Yeah. So Banks finds I can't remember her name. And he sort of peels away the wax and the stuff, and he's like, she's completely dead.
Just
She
too
looks
late,
like-
isn't he?
You know when people
Yeah.
cook things in like a pit, you know, you put a pit and then you put the hot coals in and you cook the food and then you get it out the pit.
Yeah.
Her face looks like that, just like they've put a turkey in a hot fire pit
Like,
and then pulled
yeah,
it
like
out.
we do,
Delicious.
or like when you do a fish in a paper bag, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, peel off the paper,
Yeah.
and she's had it. She had her chips. She's over.
So
Exactly.
it's not long after here that Banks gets taken, right?
Yeah, so there was a bit earlier where he went to see the police officer that he'd ratted on, who's like found God and he's like helping people. Is he helping like domestic abuse victims or drug
Yeah,
addicts?
he's
or
like
something?
he's in like a some kind of rehabilitation program. He's offering people advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And-
used to be a murderer, but now nice.
But now, I don't think about murder only a couple of times a day, and even then, I don't fully commit. But yeah, so they have a bit of a like a bit of a moment. So later on, Ezekiel goes back, convinces him now. It's definitely him. Got to be. All signs point
Because he
to
was
Lauderdale.
logged into the evidence room, right?
That's
So he'd been
correct,
able
yeah.
to go in and delete some surveillance footage. And apparently only like 15 minutes of surveillance footage was missing. So it only took 15 minutes to install the
Very good.
Waxatorium.
Yeah.
Speedy. Must have had it all up and ready to go. Just needed to
Flat
plug
packed,
it in.
just snap the bits together.
Flat packed, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so he thinks it's that guy, and he goes, and then we see like alternate flashbacks of him and Sam Jackson being captured.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Zeke wakes up at a warehouse. He's handcuffed to a pipe. Oh, there's a little hacksaw nearby. Again, not someone who's seen all the films. Has this happened before in a Saw film where there's a hacksaw where it's like, ooh, what a throwback.
Probably at least once.
Now here it says he considers sawing off his arm. Does he?
Yeah. Because I think he knows. He's like, oh, okay, I know this. What the setup is, but he finds like a hair clip or something. He kind of is
That's
able
lucky.
to do the. I mean, does the killer expect him to chop his hand off? Because the killer probably didn't put the hair clip there.
As we learn later, he sort of wants him to be his mate. So
Exactly. Yeah. He's not
Maybe
going to
do-
go, well,
maybe
if you've
do-
made him cut his hand off.
maybe he does leave
Like,
the hair
I would have
clip
been
there.
your mate, but you've just made me saw my own hand off. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have been completely on board apart from that. And he's like, oh no, I left a hair clip there. And you also left a saw.
yeah. Did you not see the hair clip? What? You should have
what?
checked the system for the key. Did you check the poo? Did you look in the poo? Throwing it
I
off
left,
immediately.
I left a poo in the corner for you. Do you not see that? No, I didn't even notice it. Oh, it took
There's
me
a key in
ages.
Yeah.
It took me
Can't
ages.
yourself look at
curl
it.
up.
Usually it's in your eye, but it's just in a poo. Unpleasant, admittedly, but not in your eye.
Just in a poo.
And they're like, oh.
Kill me. I can't touch it.
Just kill me.
I left you some
Um,
gloves in your back pocket of your jeans as well. You wouldn't have even been
Just
that
in doggy
bad.
bags. Yeah. So he gets out and then he goes into the next room and he finds his dad is like Samuel L. Jackson is
Before the dad, he has the previous
Oh,
puzzles
yeah,
with the
yeah.
with the murder policeman from earlier that shot the witness.
Yeah, this guy gets an interesting trap.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how you build this. I mean, is this something that people? Is this a thing?
It's
Like
like a faulty recycling center because there is like a conveyor belt that sucks up like glass for recycling, except instead of recycling it, it breaks what is largely glass bottles, which you think wouldn't break into shards of glass like this. It spits them out as like razor sharp like bullets, like flak
Yeah,
across the room. Every shard more razor sharp than the last.
Yeah.
It fires them out of a big funnel into the room, and it gives him like
yeah.
a clue that's
I wonder what the purpose of that machine is.
shooting glass. So the glass shooter just fires out like honestly with incredible speed. It's like a railgun. It fires out at like supersonic speeds, sharp bits of glass, and he gives him a clue saying, "Do you want to save this piece of garbage, or just the keys in the throw them in the trash and walk away and throw away the key?" And he has a couple of sections of trying to just like break him free, and he has to keep running around the corner because of the glass. And then he realizes that he fashions a shield out of the bin, like, puts it on him.
Yeah,
This is fucking ridiculous.
This is the other Saw trope that came in from the later movies, right? Where people do eventually work out how to get them, but by the point they've worked it out and gone over there with the key, it is largely pointless. That man is just like a red mess.
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And but I mean, Zeke doesn't come out completely clear. At this point, if the killer's plans went to plan, he'd be missing a hand, and he has like loads of glass sticking out of his face. He's probably lost an eyeball or
Yeah.
something.
He's got some big. He's like, oh,
Dying from blood loss. Want to be my mate?
I want to be my mate.
Thanks, not just,
thanks for saving me.
could you not have just sent me a letter?
Just send me a friend request on Facebook.
Give me a poke.
From Not Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then like you're saying, he goes into what was the final boss room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the big reveal. Sam Jackson is he's propped up. He's got blood pipes going to jars, and the idea is that like it'd like in exactly 3 minutes he'd be completely out of blood, and then he'd switch off like that. Then he'd be dead.
You've got just enough blood left to keep him alive. 3 minutes worth. The calculations in Jigsaw's
HP.
notebook.
Yeah, the calculation, because in this time as well, the killer has got to explain, got to do his whole monologue and the big reveal. And look, it's just me. Is the big reveal just him stood in a room going, "It was me," after all
Pretty much.
that time?
But like, again, if he was inept in our version of the reboot, he'd be like, it's got like 5 minutes maybe. Who knows?
Eventually, he'll die of blood loss.
He died before you even walked in.
Yeah, sorry about this, mate. He's a bleeder, that one. Is
Or
he on
that
acid?
other
He's got
guy.
some blood thinners or something going on.
Oh, of course,
It's
man
some
of his
blood.
age might be on some sort of blood thinner.
Yeah.
Didn't calculate that in. Or the other chap, like he hadn't properly woke up before the train comes. He's like,
Yeah. So we have the big reveal. So the guy who Banks put in prison shot this guy's dad because he was a witness to another crime.
yeah.
And that's why Banks, he stood up for the correct law, and he got him sent down. At the same time, he saw him in the little room, and he told him to shush. Maybe I imagine he's trying to protect him, but
That's what I'm
Yeah,
laughing. I
the
don't know what I'm
Didn't-
laughing at.
so the corrupt police didn't get him.
yeah. I think they even have the same music, or there's some sort of musical cues going on from the first.
Yeah, you get
Double
like
reveal.
you get the original Saw that always remind me, and it's not
Hello,
the same.
Zeke.
It always
Oh.
gets.
Oh,
it
hello,
always
Zeke.
reminds me of
Zeke's
like
in
Live and
this.
Let
Hello,
Die.
Zed.
It's like. do-do-do, do-do-do, yeah, it's not Live and Let Die.
Paul
but it
McCartney
is.
comes in and just goes, "I'm the bloody Jigsaw killer," and then Axl Rose comes in and goes, "I'm actually the better Jigsaw killer because my cover was better." And
They're all apprentices of
Yeah.
yeah. So Live and Let Die starts up.
Hello Zep. That's it. That's what the musical
Zep.
cue was called. Hello
Yeah.
Zep. Do you like Live and Let Die? It's my favorite song. Here it is in full.
Sing along to it.
When you were young.
So, Thingy says, I think that. Oh yeah, so he gives him a gun. He says, either there's one bullet left in the gun. You can either shoot him, the killer guy, or shoot a little target that is going to release his dad with some blood left in it. I'd be like, shoot that, hit him with the gun.
Yeah,
like you don't need to shoot him.
Or you could shoot him and then throw the gun at the target. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
A little target. I've made a little target up there. You gotta shoot him with your gun. Honestly, I was laughing at this bit. I don't even know why.
I think
I was
you
just
just
cracking up.
shoot. I mean, at this point, also the dad, Samuel Jackson, is saying, "Shoot him, like just kill him or whatever."
Shoot him.
So he ends up. I think he shoots the target, so Samuel Jackson is released to the floor, and then he ends up having a scrap with the guy in a lift, and he's like, I wanted you to be my friend or something. He wants you to join him.
Yeah, you could have joined me. We could have both been jigsaws. And we could have dealt with the corrupt police department. And he also throws his dad under the bus and says, hey, look, they're all in on it. That guy always pointing the finger. That person who was chief of police that I waxed. And
the guy who licked everything.
Yeah, they ran this particular like crime policy, which allowed them to cut down on crime by being bad, corrupt police.
Yeah.
You've always stood up for not being corrupt, so don't mind you so much.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna punish everybody around you, everyone you love, and I'm gonna bring you in on this horrible mess because you did the right thing once, and now you deserve this torture.
Isn't I would have just let your dad go, but because you tried to save the other man, you've disappointed me. So now you've got to prove that you're on side by shooting this target and not me.
Yeah. But then as they're having a scrap, the SWAT team arrive and they hit another tripwire, which pulls Samuel Jackson back up.
Yeah.
This guy's hardly got any blood left. And he's already woozy.
I feel like I've seen this before as well, where they've made somebody look like they were aiming a gun at the police when they weren't. And then the police have shot him. I've definitely seen that in a film before.
I've seen that before. I think I'm not too sure.
I want to say it's in a Saw movie, but surely not.
Phone booth or something like that.
I
seem to know.
They do it with the Inside Man, don't they? Like in a less technical way, no one gets shot. They like sellotape guns to people's hands and they send them out so the police arrest them.
Yeah. So they. Oh yeah, so they shoot Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, and then it ends with Thingy doing like the troll face as the lift takes him away, and
I just nobody notice him. Like the whole SWAT team are in there. He's in a fully lit lift.
Yeah,
and
to just,
he just like
so into shooting this guy over and over again. This is amazing.
I've always wanted to shoot a police chief, former police chief.
Even though like Ezekiel is there going, nah, don't, and he's put his hands up, so he's arrested. And like, no, look, it's me. It's me, that really rookie. Like,
he's definitely
really
a shooter.
rogue policeman.
You always see a shooter covered in puppet strings like that.
Yeah.
That's what the shooters always look like.
4 foot off the
get
floor.
him.
Someone who looks
holding
like
a gun like that. Yeah.
And then
the thing is, like, he's a puppet or puppet master or
because the other guy's the puppet master, old Jigsaw, and because he realised this delicious pun that he's made him look like a puppet and he's the puppet master.
Yeah.
As you say, look, he does the ultimate trolling face as the lift goes down.
Yeah.
It's like that Leonardo DiCaprio thing, you know, the one that's like when you get back from school, from a doctor's appointment, he's got like a McDonald's Happy Meal. He's like,
yeah.
And then that's the end. There's literally nothing else. The credits roll. There's nothing else.
Paul McCartney comes on.
Is there like some sort of kind of Saw music at the end? There's like
there's like that 21 Savage has done a song which I think it makes the most of that Hello Zep little riff. It's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah.
This song.
So I've got some name game for you.
Oh,
I've not got many because it's quite difficult actually
Yeah, I
for
bet.
this one. So maybe if you've got one you want to throw into the mix. Um, so this first one is a film about a criminal mastermind who unleashes a twisted form of justice. It's a terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. It's actually directed by the guy who provided the catering in the first film.
Catering.
Yeah, so he provided the catering from the first Saw movie. He made this one.
Spiral Fries Cookbook of Saw.
Spiral fries from the book of Saw.
Cookbook of Saw.
Cookbook
Nice.
of Saw.
Spiral from the Cook of Saw.
Ah, the Cook of Saw.
Spiral fries. Spiralizer.
Another one. So a crystal mastermind, no, a criminal mastermind unleashes a twisted form of justice. A terrifying new chapter. Brought to you by BuzzFeed. I don't know if this one's very good actually.
Spiral from the Book of Buzz Saw.
No.
No. some form of list.
I guess
Spiral.
it could be brought to you by any kind of online digital
viral.
There you go.
Viral from the Book of Saw. Buzz Saw.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Criminal mastermind unleashes a twist from justice and the terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. It's directed by the guy who provided catering from the first one, but this was the guy who catered specifically in coleslaw.
Spiral from
Spiralized
the Cook of
vegetables
Coleslaw.
from the Book of Slaw.
Yeah, from the Cook of Slaw.
I can come up with one for you, Luke.
You don't have to cook coleslaw. Slop it together.
It's cooking. You chop stuff up.
You're preparing it. You've got to put mayo on it. My
Right.
one for you, Luke. So, a criminal mastermind wreaks havoc around the city with a new case of daring murders. When Ezekiel finally gets to the end of it, turns out Mastermind's only a bloody lion.
Lion. I can't think of what word is supposed to replace at the moment. Is this
Just the
replacing
last one.
Spiral from the Book of Roar?
For the Book of Raw, that's what he'd say.
It's fucking raw.
Yeah. So we need to rate the film. If there's no more name games.
I feel like Ben's trying to get one.
Oh, you're trying to get one out?
No. I was thinking about where the moth was because I've shut the door and it's in here with me. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
That's what he'd say. Much like the franchise, Ben is out of ideas.
Oh man, out of ideas that don't even work, just being rehashed and rejigged and just naff. I mean, I was pretty annoyed by this film after I finished watching it, having pretty much forgotten about it for about 2 weeks, and now going back to thinking about it. I mean, I dislike it even more. I just don't think the Saw franchise is for me, unfortunately. I've never ever enjoyed much about it, really. I've always kind of thought it was derivative of so many other things, and this is nothing. I was really expecting a reboot. I think that's why I wanted to see this and why I was kind of like, oh, okay, this could be different. Oh, so it's not even really called Saw, but it is, isn't it? It's Saw what is it, 9?
Yeah.
Saw 9.
Call this Saw 9. Call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. Call a Saw sequel a Saw sequel. Bloody hell. I think I'd go as low as a D-.
Ooh, Jesus.
Brutal.
I think I enjoyed it a little bit more. I mean, problem is, it is a pretty standard Saw movie. I know it's framed through this kind of bad police aspect. Police are bad people.
Jigsaw
but-
never really went after policemen. I don't know if you've heard that, Luke. But, never did.
But still, I don't think it should be doing the kind of overly bleached grading on the film, and it has that kind of constant shaking camera thing. that kind of stuff is so out of fashion, like old fashioned. Yeah, like 10 years ago, I think you can get away with it, but now not really at all.
If it had a new metal song at the end as well,
Yeah.
that would have literally been the nail in the coffin. Where you just go, this film is it's like a 20-year-old film. Sorry, I'm getting in the way of your
Well, no,
your final thoughts.
that's my point. That's my point as well. So I mean, I can still watch it though. I thought it was okay. I liked some of the traps, even though I didn't really understand them. I give it a C minus.
Now Ben has spoken about the new metal soundtrack. I just think of a Linkin Park in the end coming as like Chris Rock screams.
One of the Saw films had bloody Chester Bennington, God rest his soul, in it, didn't it? One of the Saw films. Which one?
Don't know.
I remember he's in a car. That's all I remember from
somewhere between 2 and 7.
He is in Saw 7.
Oh, there you go, nailed it. For me, again, I would say there was a time in life that I thought Saw was a great franchise and I was really into it. Maybe 1 to 3. I think I probably was seeing them at the cinemas until 5.
Well, Darren Lynn Bousman did Saw 2, 3, and 4, and then Spiral. So he did a lot of the earlier ones.
Some of them, like 2 in particular, I think 2's pretty good. 2's not bad at all. Like 3 falls into that same problem with, yes, there's just no time for you to do this thing, even if you've made the decision. But coming to topic here, I feel like it wasn't enough reimagining. If they wanted to do a reimagining, they stopped short of what they could have done to truly reinvigorate the franchise and just maybe have some thematic elements that would have brought it back but let it stand on its own, where in reality they had to lean too much on the history and didn't have enough fresh ideas to pull something off that was this close, which means unfortunately you waste a couple of very talented like actors that appear in it. Like I think Chris Rock has a great deal of like intensity, and whereas I went into the film saying like it's really hard to picture him in a non-comedy role, I don't think it was that let this down. It wasn't that I was thinking, oh, he's going to do a punchline in a moment. It was just ill-fitted for this film. I'm not going to be quite as harsh as Ben, I don't think, but I think even within this franchise, it was probably below standard for a Saw movie, even within that more limited scope. So I'm going to go with a D.
Cool. So yeah, we're all kind of around the same kind of mark for it. Next week, I think we're doing The Conjuring next week. Is that right?
Yeah, The Conjuring.
Devil made me do it.
He did what?
He made me do it.
Do The Conjuring.
Do The Conjuring, yeah. It's like a
Blame
new
the
dance.
devil.
When we were texting in the group saying what films we're going to do this month, new name just appeared, The Devil. Do The Conjuring 3. All right.
Okay. And then after that, we're doing Quiet Place 2. What else we got planned for this month? We're doing Pieces, the slasher from the 80s.
Yep.
And then Attack the Block, because I think
just hit an anniversary.
Yeah.
Another 5-week episode month.
It's gonna be a long year, isn't it?
It's going on this year, isn't it? Yeah.
At least 5-week months.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. I'm dying for a pee, so I'm gonna wrap up. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Well, no. Join us in the Facebook group. You say that in the outro. What am I on about? I'm jumping on your chips.
No, you try it. See if you can get how far you can get without the.
Oh Jesus! Thanks for listening. Thanks to Kovac Cowman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show.
Very good.
If you enjoyed the show, give us a like and a review on iTunes. Yeah, on all the podcasts.
Whack us a 5-star review on there.
Whack us a 5-star review.
Do it. You can do it right in app. Lee Winnell will not come on the show if we're not a 5-star rated podcast. So
yeah, 4.5 stars. No, 5. That'll be 5. Join us in the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. We'll be chatting about horror things all the time, all the bloody time. Thanks for Thanks to my co-hosts Luke and Andy for being right horror dudes.
Thanks, Ben.
That's
Thanks
been
to
a
you for being
pleasure.
right horror dude.
Until
Bye.
next time.
Bye.